Well, hey guys, welcome back to our podcast. Today we are talking all about being together. So we're going to look at what it means to be a community and to live in community, especially here at church. So I am joined by two lovely guests today. So we have Sammy.
Hello, hello.
And Joe.
What's up?
And it's summer. Summer's finally happened. So that means everybody moved up a grade, which is super exciting, right? So I wanna take us back, reminisce on the good old times. So do you guys have any funny stories from your freshman year of high school or any advice for freshmen? Maybe you don't want to share that super embarrassing story, but you have a good piece of advice.
Well, I guess I'll go first. I do have an embarrassing story. Those are my favorite. I felt bold one day and wanted to walk up to my crush and say hello, right? This took a lot of courage, okay? And I had braces at the time, and I had the rubber bands that you put on your braces to like align your jaw, or I don't even remember what the problem was, but it was these rubber bands that I had to keep that connected my top teeth to my bottom teeth, or the braces. And so you have to be super careful of those, take them out when you're eating. And I walked up to my crush and I was going to go say hello to him, ask how his day was going. And right when I opened my mouth, that is when one of the rubber bands decided to snap.
Did it hit him in the face? Please tell me it did, because that would be so funny.
It didn't hit him in the face, but it did shoot out of my mouth. And you could hear the snap, and it hurt. It hurt so bad, too. It was just like, snap. And he was like, what was that? And I just walked away. Mortified.
Physical pain.
Absolutely mortified. Yep. I don't know if I ever talked to him again, but
I wouldn't.
I was absolutely so mortified. My advice would be, don't put so much weight behind what other people think of you. That doesn't define who you are. If you have moments like that, just laugh it off. Push past it. You'll be 26 like myself one day, and you'll be laughing about it, sharing the story with your friends. I promise you'll move on from it. But those moments happen. Just roll with it, and such is life.
That's good advice.
That's very good advice.
Boom.
Dude, both embarrassing story and good advice.
It worked. They went hand in hand.
Freshman year was a great year.
You learned so much.
Learned so much.
I don't know if I have an embarrassing story. I'm sure I could figure something out, but I think more advice would be, like it sounds funny, but like it ends. Mm-hmm. Like I think I made a lot of short-term decisions early on in high school of like relationships that it wasn't like I was thinking longevity. I was thinking, right now this is fun and all the fun decisions. And I wasn't thinking what would be beneficial for college life. And I had to make up for it a lot my junior and senior year of like academics, making up for it, like sports, all the things. I just had to make up for it so much that it would cause a lot more work on the back end. And then you're like junior year, like, oh, this does end. And now I have to, submit applications for college and all that kind of stuff. And it was just like, I wish I had thought about that, the first 2 years.
Yeah, that's good advice too. I have a funny story that also kind of goes into my advice, I would say. So
you guys are so good.
It's just
freshman year, man. Something about it.
Yeah, freshman year it was a blast. But so I played a bunch of sports and I was involved in a ton of things in high school. And that's my advice, is like get involved, try the things. I was all over the place. So I played sports. I helped with like our musicals. I was in speech and debate team, Model UN, and like chorus and band.
Wow.
So like
good for you.
I did all the things. Not well, but I did them all.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice. Get connected, because then you make a bunch of friends. Like I was friends with the athletes and the nerds. So I don't know what I was just there.
You're in the middle.
Yeah. So that's my advice. But then my funny story is my first day of freshman year, I walked to school, my backpack, my volleyball bag, because it was volleyball season. I got into our high school, hit a patch of water, and immediately face planted in front of like a big group of football players, which was like super embarrassing because I was like, oh my gosh, what if they're like my future husband? They're not, but like,
Just so you guys know.
we weren't even good at football, so I don't know why I was worried. I don't know why I was worried about what they had to think about me.
They weren't even good at football.
No, that we were really bad actually, like 0-20
my
my
goodness.
junior and senior year. Never won a game.
Ouch.
It was sad. Our marching band was really good though, so like
Oh,
that's what you went to
heck
the football
yeah.
games for.
There you go.
Oh man.
But hey, it happens. Yeah, so get involved and don't worry about what people think.
And watch your step.
Yeah, that too.
Water.
Don't
Yeah,
step in
water.
puddles.
Water is slippery.
So many lessons.
It's like, is water wet? No, it's slippery. So, more importantly, Joe, I heard that you have a super hot take on a new-ish Miley Cyrus song.
Newish Miley Cyrus song. I don't know if it's a hot take. Well, I guess the hot take is I think Bruno did it better. But the side of it, the conversation of it is like what culture kind of begins to say after that is like, hey, you get hurt, you should push everyone away and just do you. Like, do your best at like being self-sufficient. And I think that's a good thing. I think there's good things in that, but I think the toxic side of it is like it just begins to push people away, and we are better together. We are meant to live in community. Like God was creating the earth, and as he's creating the earth, he's like, everything's good. He's light, it's good. You know, the birds, they're good. Dogs, good. All the things are good. And then he creates man and said, it's not good for man to be alone. Like, and that's the continuation. That's like the beginning of a continuation conversation of like, hey, you shouldn't be doing your life alone. You shouldn't be living in isolation. And I think a reason for that is we confuse the idea of isolation and solitude. Where I've heard a quote say, solitude is choosing separation for the refinement of our souls. And isolation is what we crave when we neglect the first.
Yeah.
So I didn't spend time with God. I haven't, but now I'm just like craving this isolation and pushing people away. And I think that's what happens a lot.
So the like isolation part is that I can buy myself flowers, where like solitude would just be like, I'm doing this like to gain something for me. Like this is like my relaxation or like reset moment, where I think a lot of people choose to use the reset as like their whole life and end up isolating. Is that kind of like where you're?
Yeah, somewhat. I think it's like I got hurt. And now like I don't even want to be around people anymore because of the fear of being hurt again. And so like I just push people further and further away because I'm afraid that people are going to cause me pain, which might be true, but the adverse is just as true, that you will get hurt by being in isolation. Like that is just as dangerous, harmful to you as like being in relationship. And yeah, that sometimes does come with people who do peopleish things.
Yeah. Have you guys ever like had a defining moment in your life where you just felt super alone? I know that's a really big question. Like you're probably like, oh my gosh, I don't want to share this.
I've definitely had seasons of feeling alone. It's great because once you open your Bible, there's so many reminders that is just simply not true. It could be tempting sometimes, especially during a time like high school. It can definitely feel like an isolating period of time in your life, feeling like, who can I relate to that's going through this very same thing, and not being sure who you can trust to reach out to, and just knowing like, hey, do I have that discernment to know who's for me and who I need to be careful sharing things with? I'm just not sure what's going on. But yeah, just opening your Bible, there's so many beautiful reminders that is just not true. That's a lie from the enemy. And there are people in your life you can trust. And yeah, Jesus is for you. He's not against you. He's there with you in every single moment. A huge thing for me is reminding myself that Jesus is there even when I don't feel like he's there.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. Like not letting my emotions, how I'm feeling, like I feel alone, not letting that like determine whether or not Jesus is with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely been times in my life.
Yeah, I think in younger, like you're talking about high school, I can definitely think that. I've even had moments where I felt like that too, where even in adulthood, where you're like going through difficulties and you're like, the enemy's so good at whispering those lies of loneliness. And although you are feeling alone, you're not lonely. And those are two separate things, like, because God is with you. So my feelings might say one thing of you're feeling alone, but my faith can tell me something different. And that's that he'll never leave me nor forsake me. So like, he is with me. He's like, so staying on that side of things and making sure that I don't, it's okay to feel stuck. It's not okay to stay stuck. So like, I feel alone, like I do, but I don't want to stay here. I should push. And we have such a hard time pushing past our feelings, you know, like you want to be Drake and stay in your feelings, you know, and no, you should push past those. You should fight your feelings. You should fight all those things that you're feeling and find yourself to a place of faith. Find yourself where if you are feeling that way, press into relationship, press into spending time in community, push into your small group, push into being involved in a church community, find ways to get connected. But a lot of times we're like, I feel this way, like, let me just stay in my feelings and like put on the sad music, put on the sad song, like put like the lower the lights.
I feel like you're really outing me right now.
But like you feed it instead of fighting it, you feed it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
And
good.
like, and now you're just feeding it with more sadness. And like, so often we create an idol off that feeling because now we're worshiping it through the actions in which we're doing, of the music that we're playing, all the things that we're doing to contribute to this moment, rather than like, and that's not easy. I'm not like, I have struggled with that sometimes too, where we're going through hard times as a family and you're just like, I'm the only one dealing with this. Like no one else knows what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
No one else knows what I'm going through. And I have to fight all of those toxic thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could say that the times that in my life I felt the most alone was when I didn't have a firm grasp of community. So like when I graduated high school and went to college, and then graduated college and started a job, like those were two like major transition seasons where I was like, I don't have my people anymore. Like something is different. So in college I was like, am I friends with my like high school friends or dance friends or church friends, or am I trying to make new friends at college? And then once I graduated college, it was like, well, I have these college friends, but I'm also trying to like figure out how to be an adult, and like that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
And I think like now looking back, I can realize it was just I didn't have anybody to talk to. Like I didn't have a community. Even like graduating from college, I was like, okay, if I'm an adult, like I'm gonna make adult friends. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not married, so like that's weird to be friends with a bunch of people that are married. And then like a couple of them had to be like, hey, it's fine. Like you can still talk to me. There's no reason that like just because a life circumstance is different doesn't mean that we can't be friends and be in community, which I think is so important. And a lot of times, like I know I'm an introvert. Like I all the time say that I don't like people, which like I do like people, but they tire me out.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really hard to find community, or like to want to go find community, because it's a lot of work and a lot of energy. And half of the time I end up having to like backtrack, and I'm like, oh, that didn't work. Let's try a new person. So how would you guys say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say both of you are introverts, or not introverts, extroverts?
Oh, I was going to say, ooh,
No,
hardcore extrovert.
You'd actually be surprised. I feel like I'm actually more of an introvert than an extrovert, surprisingly.
Ambivert?
Yeah, an ambivert. That's when you're
Could
like
be
both.
an ambivert.
I don't know if I would say that though. Like because I think it's where you get your energy from, right?
Yeah.
And like, man, I am so energized. And like that was like solitude moment of just like being by myself, listening to music, like sounds so like dad-ish, but like mowing the lawn type stuff of like, hey, like
I love doing that.
But like those moments feel good, like energizing to me. And then I get around people and I can be appear to be extroverted because I can talk loud and boisterous and all those things, but at the same time, like I can get out of those environments and be like, that was a lot.
Yeah. So what would you guys say, I guess, on the introvert side and the extrovert side? Like, how do you find a community that like sticks and is going to actually help you kind of not feel as alone as sometimes we can feel?
Oof.
It's another big question.
That is a big question.
We're diving in now.
Yeah.
I'd say like figure out what you like to do, what you enjoy doing, and then try and find people that are interested in doing the same thing. Do you like going for walks in nature?
Yes.
Are there people in your life that also enjoy going for walks in nature that you could just ask to go with you and see how it goes? You know, it doesn't have to be like a big deal, you know, like it could be something like a half an hour walk. Just get a group of people that might be interested in that and see if it works out. I don't know. I think it comes down to like figuring out what you like to do and then just ask.
Yeah.
Just ask people, would you like to do this with me? I'd love to get to know you better. And if they say no, at least it's a compliment to them. That's kind of rude to say no. I would imagine most people wouldn't just say no, but that would just end up being a compliment to them. Like, hey, I want to get to know you better. Let's go do this thing. Let's go get a cup of coffee. Let's go for a walk. Let's go watch this movie together.
Yeah.
Just try.
Yeah. I think if you want to make friends, you have to be a good friend. Like if I want to find good friends, I want to be a good friend. It's kind of like the same thing with dating, right? Like I'm not going to just find the right person. I have to be the right person first. In that same way, if I'm going to find good friends, I've got to be a good friend first. Bible talks about like God shall not be mocked. Whatever a man sows, that's shall he also reap. So like if I'm putting apple seeds in the ground, I can't expect oranges. Like it'd be cool, but like that doesn't happen. In the same way, if I want to find friends, I've got to sow being friendly. And I think a lot of times we're like, I want good friends, and like you're looking for it rather than being it and not finding it, and then having frustration of like, I don't understand why I'm not. And you're like, well, how good of a friend have you been lately? Like,
That's
are there
good.
people in your life that are hurting right now that you could be a good friend for? Are there people in your life that are feeling lonely, like that you can like, and maybe in those moments, those are promptings where you're like, I'm feeling lonely. Could there be someone else in your life that's feeling lonely too, that you could reach out to that brings connectiveness? Like, what if the prayer request that you have could also be a prayer fulfilled for somebody else by going out and reaching? So I think one way to find like community or reaching in, pressing in is like, I want to be a good friend first, and then through the sowing of that. And don't expect it over, like in the same way that I don't expect to throw seeds in the ground and then like all of a sudden they're going to grow. It takes time. So like it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. And I want to be able to trust that like when I do sow something good, God is so good at bringing that back.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think that kind of points to like kind of what I was thinking of. Like if you want a good community and you want a good friend group, like you have to show up consistently.
Yeah.
Like I think relationships, friendships, anything, even a relationship with God, if you're in and out, like you're going to feel that like relational tug. Where if you're in it and you're in it for the long haul and you're in it when other people are going through problems or you're going through stuff, like that just makes it so much better because you have that like relational equity, the like time that's on your side. And then you just have been through so much. It's like, wow, like we've overcome this and that and like global pandemic and high school, like all of this stuff just compounds and you're like, wow, like we've done life together so well through so many things, which is just makes a community so much better. So have you guys been part of a community that you could like look back at and say like that, if I didn't have them, my life would be so different?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have my group from college for sure. I traveled with a gospel choir. We would travel to different churches around the country and being on tour together, singing together, going through life together. I served on that team in college for about 5 years, so through college and grad school. And we saw it all in each other. Spending nights on a tour bus, a school, college tour bus together at like 2-3 in the morning, you know, and going on planes together. Like, you see it all with each other. So, and being together for 5 years, it really impacted my life, and having them get glimpses of who I am when the lights are turned off, you know, was a huge thing for me. And I look back on that season of my life and I'm like, man, I needed those people in my life for sure. So friendship is a gift. It truly is a gift. Made me a better person, made me who I am today. Definitely have some friends like that.
That's cool. Church communities that we've been a part of, for sure. Man, as a family, we've gone through so much different difficulties that, like, if we didn't have healthy community, like I can even think of when we were in Miami, Florida. My wife was like 36 weeks pregnant. I ended up going out to St. Louis to go to a church, visit a church, and while I was out, my wife ended up giving birth to my son at home, not intentionally, like it wasn't a pull or anything. Gosh. It was like, it's just super fast. And when it happened, my mother-in-law like ends up delivering our son, Silas, and the paramedics are coming up the stairs as that's happening. And like during that time, I'm getting phone calls from people who are like showing up at the hospital. And like that night, I'm trying to head to Miami to get home, and they're keeping me updated. They stayed through the hospital with us. We had 3 months in the NICU, and just being able to like have those relationships inside of our lives. I have a pastor who would call me at least once a week just to check in and like do the like, how are you doing? And then no, like for real, like how are you doing? Because like you need that, right? Like the first how are you doing is the normal good, I'm okay kind of answer. And then like the second one is like the breath of like, this is terrible. And so just having those people show up in my life, and like that pastor, like who's consistently shown up through every difficulty, through every issue, whether it was physically or whether it was phone call, whether it was text messages, all those things. Like, I mean, my mom's passed, my dad's passed. We've had a son who's passed. We have a son who has special needs. We had like a house that like flooded, like the roof caved in, like all these things. And this was like a matter of like 4 years. We haven't even been married that long. And like, we've gone through a lot of those things. And if it wasn't for a healthy community inside of our lives, like, I don't know if we would make it. Like half of those things are reasons why people have divorce. Like a loss of a child is that's 80% of marriages end in divorce. Like the loss of a son with special needs, like high percentages. All the things that all those have, but yet we've stuck together because of healthy community inside of our life.
Yeah, and community is so important because without it, like when you do go through those difficult things, it makes it 10 times harder. Like I can remember you were talking about college and I was like, oh, college. And I was in a dance ministry, so we would perform at our like chapel services. And the little dancey dance.
She sings, you dance.
That's
and then
literally like what it was.
Praising God.
Like our chapel worship team would sing, and then we would dance while they were singing. Cornerstone, Christ Alone Cornerstone. Great.
Shout out.
Little, that was like a every year rendition we did. But that was like my group of people that when stuff was happening all around me in college and I was failing projects or like succeeding, any of those things. It was like during that 2 hours that we were at rehearsal, I could just like confide in them. And it was great because some of us were dance majors, some were bio majors, some did business. We were like not the group of people that you would think would come together.
Yeah.
But we did, and that was amazing because when everybody was going through difficult life stuff, it was so easy because we had each other to be like rooted in, which is so, I think is so important. But I think for me, I guess the scary thing is like, how do you invite people into that community? So if you saw like one of your friends struggling or a family member or just honestly anybody, how do you invite them into the community that you already have?
Yeah, I think a lot of times it's like putting yourself in their shoes. Like you've probably felt all those things before, the loneliness, the frustration, the transition. You were talking about transitions from school to school or job to job, all those things of state to state, all those different difficulties, like putting yourself in those shoes and being able to walk in those shoes, and then like being able to just like invite people into those spaces. Like we love to invite people. We've had 18 interns live with us through the course of our 12-year marriage.
Yes.
It's not an invitation.
I was gonna say, so when I'm like homeless one day, like I can just, hey guys.
Yeah. No, but with like the funny thing is like, yeah, that's happened. Like we've had those seasons where people are just like, and because that's been me, like I grew up with parents that didn't have a lot, and there was people who showed up, who stepped in to help us financially at seasons when we just couldn't do it, and all those things. So like if I'm blessed to be a blessing, so like if I have the opportunity to do that for somebody else through friendship, through internship, through relationship, through what mentorship, whatever that looks like, I want to do that. And even if I didn't experience that, I know the gap and the feelings of like deflatedness that it felt, that like I want to be a better mentor for others because I didn't have great mentorships in my past. I want to be a great friend for others, even at moments when I didn't have great friendships. I want to show up for people in spaces. So like, I think being able to relate to them, and then like just inviting people to the table and having conversations. So like, I feel like we're always inviting people to our house, whether it's to live with us or just even just to have dinner, just to like be in relationship. But if you're not in those relationships, if you're not close in proximity, you're not going to know the pain that people are feeling.
Yeah.
So like being able to have that closeness enough in proximity and relationship to people, and that's like scary.
Yeah.
But it's like risky, but the reward is so much fruit, so much blessing, and not in the sense of like all this financial, but just blessing and relationship fruit that happens. So
yeah, I would say like be ready too. Like ask God, hey, are there people in my life that I'm just not seeing yet that need friendship? They need to come out of some isolation. You've been a great friend to me, Jesus, so I want to be a great friend to somebody else. And I just think of, I had a friend in college who anytime she had a birthday or a holiday and would receive a gift card for like a restaurant or coffee or something, she would save it specifically for an opportunity to ask a new person to come hang out with her and pay for their meal or pay for their coffee. Like she specifically put that gift card aside every holiday, every birthday, just to be ready for that opportunity to invite someone out of their isolation and come be in community. And I absolutely love that method. So you could try that. You could save that gift card and ask God, hey, who am I using this on? Who am I blessing today? And I promise you, you'll feel so much better about yourself. You'll feel so much closer to Jesus, more importantly. And you have the opportunity to help change somebody's life.
Yeah. There's two things in there that I love. One is like, I think sometimes we forget to ask God, like who the people in our life are that like need community, that need friends. And we know that we can do life better when we're together. So why would we not ask God, like, hey, who's that person on my team or in my class or just like maybe even in my small group that I need to like lean in a relationship a little more with. And then I liked the gift card thing. That's so cool.
Amazing.
I know, right?
Like you have an easy reason to be selfish. Like, lived another year, like it's my birthday.
Starbucks.
Yeah. I'm like, if someone gave me a $25 gift card to Starbucks, like I could probably get like 5 drinks, or I could sit
10
down
shots
with someone.
of espresso.
Like that would.
Well, and then
don't
if
put
you
it
use all your
past me.
hacks, like you
Yeah,
can get
no, I
limited.
could get. It would be so free in the long run. But you could either use that $25 for yourself, or you could say like, hey, I'm going to invite this person, like a drink and a sandwich is on me, which is a lot. And I think that's so cool because it's another opportunity to say like, yes, I'm inviting you to be my friend, but I'm also inviting you to like do life with me, and I'm gonna help you take that first step.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times like money is a reason to say no to an invitation.
Yeah.
So breaking that invitation barrier down is such a good start.
Yeah.
I love that. That was a cool story. Shout out to your friend.
Shout out to your friend.
Wherever she is. You're doing great. Way to invite people. Well, I want to thank you guys for chatting about being together and what community looks like. So next time we are going to dive in a little deeper into some relationships and some communities that might have hurt us and how we go from there. So I hope you guys join us next time.